Hi, this is Krista at the Secret Yarnery. Today we are making the Coronation baby blanket. This is an amazing 2-row repeat, so we're doing 2 different rows, and we're just going to alternate those all the way up until your blanket is the size you want it to be. If you'd like a written pattern to go along with this tutorial, it's available over on my website, secretyarnery.com. For this pattern, I'm just using a regular worsted weight acrylic. This is Savor from Ice Yarns. It's actually 100% Draylon acrylic, so it's really soft and nice. I'll put a link to this in the description box down below. You'll also need a 7mm crochet hook, a pair of scissors, and a needle for sewing in your ends later. If you don't have a 7mm crochet hook, I will link these in the description box down below. I like using a 7mm crochet hook for my baby blankets just because it makes it really nice and soft and squishy, especially if you're just using acrylic yarn. If you want to use a 6mm crochet hook, go ahead, just add 12 chains to your starting chain. So let's get started. To start the Coronation baby blanket, just make a slip knot with your yarn any which way that you normally do, leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle later. Just shrink that down and put it onto your hook. This pattern is a multiple of 3, so you can just chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and 3 again, 1, 2, 3, until your chain is the width you want it to be. For this tutorial and my 7mm hook, I'll be chaining 87. If you are using a 6mm hook, you probably want to chain around 99. So any multiple of 3. So pause the video and keep working on your chain until it is the width you want your blanket to be, any multiple of 3. For this tutorial, I'm just going to be doing a sample size. When your chain is the length you want it to be, just go ahead, put your thumb on the cute little V's and kind of roll them to the side. We want to be looking for the second chain. We want to work into our back loops. So the first back loop is right underneath our working yarn right here. We want to go into the second chain. If working into your back loops is difficult, you can work into the front, but your blanket will look a lot more finished if you can work into your back loops. So into the second chain, the second back loop, just slide that back loop on your hook and make 1 single crochet. Chain 1, skip 1. So again, holding your chain to the side. So now we're going to work into the second chain. So here is the first camel bump. We're going to work into the second back loop or the second chain. So into that second chain, pop your hook in and make 1 single crochet, chain 2, and 1 single crochet. Just like that. Chain 2, 1, 2, skip 2. So we're going to skip these camel bumps. There is 1 and 2. We're going to work into the third right here. Put your hook in and make 1 single crochet, chain 2, and 1 single crochet. Chain 2, skip 2. So we're going to skip the first camel bump and the second. We're going to work into the third, and we're going to do another one of those little bumps. So bumps are single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet all into the same chain. I'm just building these little bumps for this row. And don't worry if your work is all curling up and looking weird, so is mine. It'll straighten out on the next row. Chain 2, skip 2, so skip 2 camel bumps, work into the third. We're going to make another bump. So single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet, chain 2. Skip 2, into the third stitch, another bump. So single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. Chain 2, skip 2, into the third, another bump. So now pause the video and work all the way along your chain. making a bump, a chain 2, skip 2, and a bump all the way along until you reach the end of your chain. After your last bump, you'll have 2 chains left, 1 and 2. So we're going to chain 1, skip 1, and make 1 single crochet into that very last stitch. Right over here, into that last stitch, 1 single crochet. And that finishes row 1. To start row 2, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn your work. To turn your work, slide your hand under your working yarn, grab your work, and just turn it towards you so you can work along the next row. For this row, we're just going to be working into the center of these bumps, all the way along, just the centers of the bumps. So this row goes nice and quickly. Wrap your yarn into the center of that bump, the chain 2 space. Go ahead and make 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Find the next center of the bump, right here, the next space, and make 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Center of the next bump, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Center of the next bump, 3 double crochets. So these are our heads. You'll see how they come along in the next row. So it looks like this so far. Now keep going, working your way along, doing 3 double crochets into the center of each bump, all the way along until you reach the end of your row. At the end of your row, you'll have this little kind of bit hanging down a little bit. We want to find the top of that single crochet. So it's this stitch right down here on the side. And if you just put your hook in, you'll see there's those 2 strands. We want that on the top part of our hook. We're going to end with 1 double crochet. So into that last stitch, 1 double crochet to end the head row, or row number 2. To start row number 3, this is the crown row, the repeat. Chain 1 and turn your work. Make 1 single crochet into this very first stitch right here underneath our chain 1. So put your hook in and make 1 single crochet. Chain 1, skip 1. We want to go into the center stitch of our heads right here. And we're going to put our crown right into the center stitch of each head, going all the way along. So right in the center stitch of our sets of double crochets, all along like that. So into the second stitch, we'll make a crown. Crowns are 1 single crochet, chain 2, and 1 single crochet, chain 2, and jump to the next head. So into the center stitch of the next head, 1 single crochet, chain 2, and 1 single crochet. Chain 2, jump over to your next head, find that center stitch, make your crown, 1 single crochet, chain 2, and 1 single crochet, all into the same stitch. Chain 2, jump over to your next head, find the center stitch, make your crown, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. Chain 2, jump over to your next head, find the center stitch, make your crown, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. And now pause the video and keep working your way along, making a crown on top of each head all the way along until you reach the end of your row. To finish the crown row, we chain 1 and skip 1. So we're going to skip our double crochet, and we're going to make our single crochet right into the top of our chain 3, right here. We're just going to do our last single crochet. So put your hook in and make one single crochet, and that finishes the crown row. So now you're going to keep alternating making a head row and a crown row all the way along until your blanket is the height you want it to be. And just a quick little recap. For the head row, we start a head row with a chain 3. 1, 2, 3. We turn our work. We jump straight into the very first crown, and we do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And then jump straight over into the next crown space and do 3 double crochets into each one all the way along until you reach the end of the row. To finish a head row, we're just going to do our last double crochet right into this stitch right here on the edge. Right here. And we want to make sure you have 2 strands of that stitch on your hook. So you end the head row with 1 double crochet. Just like that. To start the crown row, we just chain 1 and turn our work. 1 single crochet into that very first stitch. Chain 1, skip 1, and we do our first crown into the second stitch. So crown is a single crochet, chain 2 and single crochet, and chain 2 and jump. We jump over to our next head, the center stitch, and we crown. So we chain 2 and jump, single crochet, chain 2 and crown. Chain 2 and jump, single crochet, chain 2 and crown. Chain 2 and jump, chain 2 and crown. So crown means you're going back into the same stitch, and jump means you're jumping over into the next head, the center of the next head. So chain 2, crown, chain 2, jump. So that is how you remember to do your crowns. At the end of your crown row, chain 1, and we're going to skip a stitch and work into our chain. So we're going to make our last single crochet right into the top of that chain 3. Just like that. And that finishes the crown row. If you forget to do one of your crowns on one of your heads, you can always take your stitches out, go back and fix it. But if you don't want to, or if you feel like it's really far down your work or it's discouraging, so I'll show you what it looks like if you don't fix it. So I've done the head into the stitch before. So I'm ready to put my head into my crown, but there's no crown. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put my head right into this single crochet, right into that stitch I made right here. I'll show you what it looks like. You can decide if it is worth rocking back or you're just going to keep going. So 3 double crochets just into that stitch, just pretending there's a crown. And then I'll move forward a little bit so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so there, I've worked forward a little bit, and you can see all of my heads into my crowns. This is the stitch here that doesn't have a crown. So it doesn't really look too obvious to me that you needed to go back and fix it. But if you're fussy about it, of course, go back. But if you are new and you're discouraged by ripping out your stitches, you can just kind of cheat and keep going like that. I don't think it looks too terrible. So now just keep going, alternating, making a head row and a crown row all the way up until your blanket is the height you want it to be. And you want to end on a head row. When your blanket is the height you want it to be, just end on a head row and chain 1. Turn your work. Make 1 single crochet into that very first stitch. Chain 1. Jump into where you'd normally be putting your crown and just put 1 single crochet. Chain 2. Jump to the next head. Make 1 single crochet into that center stitch. Chain 2. Jump over to the center of the next head. So we're doing the same thing, we're just not doing crowns for this row. We're just doing chain 2s and single crochets. So chain 2 and jump, center of the next head, 1 single crochet, chain 2 and jump, center of the next head, 1 single crochet. So pause the video and keep working your way along, making 1 single crochet into the center of your 3 double crochets, the center stitch, chaining 2 and jumping straight over to the center stitch of the next head or the next set of double crochets, and keep working your way along all the way until you reach the end of this row. So after you've made your last single crochet into your last head, chain 1 and 1 single crochet into the top of that chain 3, getting 2 strands of that stitch on the top of your hook, 1 single crochet, chain 1 to secure your yarn, cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle later, pull your hook up and your yarn through and snug that down to secure. Sew in your ends and you're finished. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial as much as I did. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below and the notification bell beside that, so you don't miss out on any more awesome, quick, and easy tutorials just like this. You can find me over on Instagram at Secret Yarnery or Facebook, The Secret Yarnery. I also have a Facebook group, The Secret Yarnery Crochet Community, and that is a great place to upload your photos and get your questions answered and connect with other community members. Thanks so much for hooking along. We'll see you in the next video, and stay hooked.